We had some breaking news yesterday, but I'm recording right now. Today was a few hours ago. That was Will Howard has suffered his hand injury and he's going to be out 3 weeks. Now, I know we covered this in the Steelers Live, but the more that it's on my mind, the more I think about it is who's going to fill in for Will Howard. Now, this was reported yesterday. Alan Saunders said Will Howard had suffered a broken bone in his hand today, according to a report by Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, likely to avoid surgery. However, he's going to miss 3 weeks and he'll be out all of pre-season. Now, I did see some other things too. There was another report saying that he had hurt his finger, or it was his pinky finger. And a lot of now different analysts and people are starting to talk about this. But he had hurt his throwing hand, and it's been reported he had fractured or broken, or something with his pinky. That's what I've been reading via tweets on the internet. Now, here's a big question. Now, this does suck. As a Steelers fan, for Will Howard, I wish him all luck. I hope he gets better. I think he was a fan favorite for our Steelers, fan favorite as a 6th-round pick. And just the overall nature of the bloke, he was doing his best. He won the championship. Everybody was looking forward for him to play at the quarterback position. He was initially released in the depth chart to be Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, QB3. It was looking to have like a year off, learn from those two blokes in front of him, the veteran quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers in front of him, and now he's got to sit there with a clipboard and go through rehab and get adjusted. I don't think he'll be cut or anything like that. I don't think he'll be put on the practice squad. I think he'll be somehow, some way utilized and featured in this team as QB3 and when they're getting back to health. But it looks like that Will Howard, he won't be having any game time reps versus other teams or in preseason, which sucks. And as I was just talking to Bubba, just talking to Bubba in the live that featured before for 20 or so minutes, we had this with Troy Fautanu. He went out with injury. We had this with Roman Wilson. We've had this with Calvin Austin. These rookie players that we're excited to see and play football, and the next minute, see you later, injuries happen, and he's out for a few weeks. Now, it's not the end of his career. He definitely can bounce back. He can learn from this. He can get better, get healthy. He can go through, the rehab process, and hopefully on the other side, he's raring to go. But in the short-term solution for Will Howard being out, why Will Howard is out now for the 3 preseason games, while that sucks as a Steelers fan, the organization and the Steelers right now, Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan, they got to figure it out. If Will Howard is out, then who's in? I don't think the Steelers are going to go with Rodgers to be QB1 and have snaps and series for him in preseason where they want him having a lot of work. Also, you don't want to overextend the work to Mason Rudolph. Skylar Thompson, you might see him have a game or two. Maybe he plays a full game in the second week or the third game. But you still need depth, and they need to find someone as a free agent QB to come in and be the 4th guy on the rotation or be the 3rd guy or whatever it may be. You need someone to hold the football, snap the football, and develop chemistry and run the routes and play preseason football in this team. They got to go and find someone. So even though Will's going to be out in a few weeks, they need a camp body or a camp quarterback. It could be from the UFL. It could be someone who's still a free agent. There was Tyler Huntley who went to the Browns. The Browns have got 4 or 5 quarterbacks. There's been a rumor, or there's been like talk, and not really a rumor, but talk that if Sanders were to be cut, or would they go and trade for him? I don't know. There's going to be all these things going to be speculate right now in terms of quarterbacks, because the Browns have 5 or 6 quarterbacks. They're stockpiling quarterbacks. We've only got 3. And for the games coming up in preseason, the Steelers need another one. You need four quarterbacks so you can have Rodgers resting and other guys getting reps and completing passes and also finishing games and just having time on the field so you don't have to push out your QB1 or give a lot of reps to also QB2. So that's the breaking news from yesterday, guys, is Will Howard will be out a minimum of 3 weeks and out preseason. So it sucks for Steelers fans that we can't see him play Steelers football. And, people are now speculating who's going to come in, who's going to be picked up by the Steelers to be a QB4 because they need someone to be picked up. I honestly don't know who they're going to look at. There were still ideas of Carson Wentz. He could be maybe a guy They give a vet deal. It could be someone who you've never heard of in terms of like the UFL, which is the United Football League, and there was like 8 teams there. Some of those quarterbacks. Could it be someone who's a free agent who's sitting on the couch, or I've heard names like Ben DiNucci who played for the Broncos and stuff like that. Omar Khan's got to find someone. He has to find someone just in case of reps. So this is the start of preseason. There is still a lot of practices to go. You need someone to fill that role for Will Howard that he was going to I thought he was going to have a pretty good preseason, a pretty good. It was going to be fun to watch him play football and get amongst it. But unfortunately, he suffered the 3-week injury, or at least minimum 3 week for the broken bone. And yeah, Will Howard, we may not see Will Howard till next year. We may not see him till next year in 2026. The same time the Steelers have a Pittsburgh Steelers draft in 2026, where a lot of analysts are now projecting them to pick a first-round quarterback and use all those picks they have, 12 of them, to get a first-round pick. So we may not see Will Howard play until 2026 preseason. Now, we've seen him in training camp. There's videos out there, but we may not see him play an actual football game versus a real opponent, the Jags, the Buccaneers, or whoever it may be, until 2026. So, thanks Steeler Nation for checking out this video on Steeler Nation Australia. Unfortunately, Will Howard is now out for 3 weeks, and now it's kind of go mode for Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin to find QB number 4, because Skylar Thompson moves up one. Mason Rudolph, I think he's going to start the game against the Jaguars, and they got to find someone just for reps. You need a quarterback to play QB reps at that position. You can't have Rodgers out there firing the football and, playing too many series, because you want him ready and game day ready, and you don't want him to get a chance to be injured. You want him game day ready for the Jets. So I wish Will Howard all the luck. Hope he goes well in his recovery. And the Steelers now are on the clock trying to find and figure out, if Will Howard is out for 3 or 4 weeks or 5 weeks, then who's in? Who's going to be that QB summer camp, training camp, 4th quarterback on the roster? They got to pick someone up. It has to be someone.